Frazzled, sleepless, exhausted from the responsibilities and never-ending list of urgent items that must be taken care of immediately. For many of you, this is the reality. Your existence day in and day out. But it doesn't have to be this way. What if I told you there was a place where you worked from 7 to 3, got home at a decent time, saw your loved ones, and enjoyed your Sundays? It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between working hard and working smart, between science and social studies, and it lies between the pit of a teacher's fears and the summit of their knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area we call the productivity zone.
Hi, I'm Ashlynn.
And I'm Victoria.
And we're your productivity pilots.
Like you, we too have struggled with balancing the ever-increasing demands of teaching with our lives at home. We've climbed out from under piles of lesson planning and grading, only to wonder, what time is it? And, oh God, how many meals have I missed? And we've been plagued with the constant guilt of, well, my computer's right there. I really should get a little work done. But even though we have 24/7 access to our grades, lessons, and communications, that doesn't mean that we should work 24/7. And it can be hard to figure out how to manage our time with so many cool tech resources available. Harder still, when your one self-care tip is take some time for yourself. I mean, how do you take time for yourself when the to-do list just doesn't shrink? I mean, there's ACT testing and air testing and this junior achievement thing, and what is that? I mean, it just never ends. It never ends!
Robots. You make the robots do the work, and you get your time back. We found the productivity zone, and you can too. Journey with us now to that mystical land. Time-saving robots can be found to help us with virtually any task. Like you, I've been inundated with tools at so many PDs that I've sat through. Today, we're going to take a look at some of these, but we're going to show how they can all be leveraged together to save you time and make your life easier. First up, techniques for time saving in the classroom. So let's start general. How can we use all of these resources to automate our classrooms? Some of these you might be using already, but if not, you're sitting on a gold mine of time. First up, resource and reference sheets. We have these everywhere in our classrooms for various reasons. Why don't we put them online? Create a resource section on Google Classroom and attach as a material to the different reference sheets your students might need. Periodic table, mole mass sheet, things like that.
Verb endings.
Or you can create a virtual classroom that compiles all of them into one place. Here's Victoria's that she made to start the year this past year. It's great. A couple of us stole it. Having everything on Google Classroom like this eliminates the need for paper copies, saving trees, and giving students 24/7 access to the resources they need for success. And no more, I lost it.
That's a good one.
Another way to eliminate paper copies and save yourself some time is using the templates in Google Classroom. When you assign something, choose make a copy for each student, and the computer will just do it. Again, robots. No waiting at the copier for hours, hoping it doesn't jam or run out of toner, or that Mr. Johnson comes in and yells at you for using the copier during his planning period.
You call him out.
I know, hey. Just make sure your original document doesn't have a mistake. Otherwise, it will exist forever on all the student copies. Now, we all know differentiation is a big deal in education. It's one of our favorite buzzwords. We're all trying to figure out the best way to meet our students where they are and advance them to where they need to be. In Google Classroom, you can assign different assignments to different groups of students. Don't want me to have the same assignment that Tommy gets? Assign them 2 different things. You can even do this for tests. They won't see the assignment they didn't get assigned, so you can facilitate differentiation of materials in one keystroke without them being the wiser. or feeling singled out.
Mhm.
Now, if you want to check on a student assignment, the student response view is the way to go. You can easily open up one student's assignment to see their progress, type in a grade, type in some snarky comments, make sure they're on task. I do that one a lot. Then choose the arrows to scroll through the student work alphabetically. This is a quick and efficient way to see all of their work in one place, and there's no turn it in bin, no I swear I turned it in, no you didn't,
No
and I
wondering
have
if you lost it.
no wondering if you lost it.
Yeah.
Right? Here you can also add notes and comments on individual assignments for individual students and converse with students asynchronously on their individual documents and assignments so that no one else sees it. This is a very useful way to give constructive feedback and kind of work students towards mastery of a standard without taking up class time to really do that. Now, we all know, I didn't know it was due. When did you give that to us? How many times have we heard that from our students?
Oh, no.
Never, not a single time.
No,
You're a liar. With Google Classroom, we can combat this, help students stay organized, and keep on top of their assignments. And we can stay on top of our grading. Google Classroom integrates with Google Calendar, so it populates what assignment is due when for what class automatically, right? So we are no longer trying to encourage them to get
Write
out
it
their
down.
planner, write it down, remember, due dates.
Program it in your phone.
It's literally already there, so they don't even have to do any work. It automatically populates. Also, in the To Do tab on Google Classroom, students can see exactly what they need to complete and by what time. Google Classroom will even email them reminders. For teachers, you'll see everything that you need to grade in the To Review tab. Now, we all know the importance of the home-school partnership in ensuring educational success. With Google Classroom, you can invite guardians to view what missing assignments students have and email them weekly summaries of their students' activities. The parent view is limited and less complete than the student view, but it does provide a great jumping off point for having fruitful discussions and helping guardians also help their students. That also kind of helps with the I didn't know that they need to turn it in, or he said he turned it in, when it's clearly still missing on Google Classroom. If you do need to conference with a parent or student, whether in conferences or for office hours, you can create appointment slots on your Google Calendar so students and parents can easily and quickly sign up for a time to meet with you. It allows parents and students to see what your availability is and how it matches with their schedule, so no need to play phone tag anymore. Finally, if you need to facilitate peer discussion asynchronously, you can allow students to post and comment on the Google Classroom stream so that they can simulate classroom discussions or even ask each other for help if they need it, right? I know that I relied on my peers a lot when I was in high school. Now we've taken that to the internet. We all know that sometimes, however, students can abuse privileges and tools like this. So you are able to mute individual students if necessary and delete any comments that you find untoward. In addition, if you find that your students aren't handling it well, then you can disable students posting it on the stream altogether. Okay. In through the nose for 3, hold it for 4, out through the mouth for 5.
All right.
Right? Okay. All right. That was a lot on how we can utilize different tools and technology platforms to save some time in basic classroom tasks and functions. So let's see how much time was earned back on our Clock-O-Matic 3000. So now that you've scheduled a few resources and assignments in Google Classroom, all you have to do is grade it.
But grading is the worst. I always get so caught up in the planning and the delivering lessons that grading is just one more thing on my plate I kind of forget about, and that I'm eager to do efficiently. The best way to do it? Leverage the self-grading tools you already have at your disposal. Yeah, it's a little more work up front, but it's worth it. Save your skills for the deep analysis tasks. Let the robots handle the lower order recall questions. First up, let's look at self-grading Google Forms. You can add different questions on these and program in the answers with different point values. If it's the only thing assigned to a Google Classroom assignment, click that little Import Grades button, and it automatically pulls the student's grades from the Google form, so you don't have to go out to each one. You can also program feedback to be released on the form when the student doesn't pick the correct answer, so you don't have to reiterate 902 times why a certain answer isn't quite right. These do work best with multiple choice matching or true-false things, less so with short answer or essay prompts. The answer options are case sensitive and you have to make sure it gets in there exactly, or it will kick it out as wrong.
I've also had issues sometimes with math or numerical answers, if like decimal places, things like that.
Yeah.
But in that case, you always can go back and manually correct these point values. So if you do find that you entered something incorrectly, or a student entered something kind of wonky, used an O instead of 0,
You can have your discretion. And there are also other tools that do the same thing. GoFormative allows you to create assessments or assignments and program in the correct answers so that they automatically grade when students submit them. You can go back and look at the questions highlighted in red just to make sure they didn't misspell something or to provide partial credit. Edpuzzle, I know many of you use this probably, but it does integrate with both Screencastify and Google Classroom, so you can create video lessons that have questions embedded, which again, if they're multiple choice or true-false, they can be self-grading. So all you have to review are the short answer ones. But if you have these posted to Google Classroom, you don't have to transfer grades from one space to another. It just happens automatically. Oh my God. And then you can sync Google Classroom with Progress Book. One and done. Don't forget too the old standbys for teaching, where you have students grade each other or grade themselves and reflect on their progress.
it's great for formative work.
But one final tip that I've learned in this year is the best way to stay on top of your grading is to do an activity where you can grade it as the students are working on it. I have so many games that I play on Google Slides and Jamboard activities where the students are working in small groups. I have these windows up on my monitor and I can scroll through the different tabs, the different slides, and see in real time who's doing what, and I can grade their efforts accordingly.
That's wonderful.
It's allowed me to stay on top of things
I bet.
and provide real-time feedback.
And the gamification aspect of it too must make it really engaging for the students. I bet they love it.
Oh yeah, no, there's been a lot of fights over, you grab this first. It's fun to see whose tech is laggy.
Self-care.
Okay, that was another whirlwind tour of different tech resources to use to save some time in grading. But let's see how much time was earned back on our Clock-O-Matic 3000. So, now that you've finished grading, we just have to increase our productivity and other daily administrative operations.
I'm so glad you asked.
For years, my desk has been a mess of sticky notes, and I always have a backpack full of lesson planning materials. But this year with COVID, I didn't want to have to bring things back and forth. And for the first time ever, I never carry anything other than my purse, water bottle, and maybe a lunchbox into school.
Well, that's one good thing.
How'd I do it? How'd I do it?
Is it robots?
You guessed it, it's robots.
It's robots!
Google has a lot of great tools in their G Suite. Things like Google Keep, which is a digital sticky notes tool that can either stand on its own or be attached to Google Calendar. I tend to keep mine attached to the calendar so that way I can make to-do lists for myself based off of what's on my calendar. So remembering conferences, testing days, what bathrooms are open, what periods, the little things.
When you have a professional development day.
Yeah, that too. But I also use this digital lesson plan book from chalk.com. It's free, and I can load my classes and my schedules into it. You can even grade and take attendance in there too if you'd like. You can load the state standards in and be able to match up which standards you're hitting in what lesson. So you can keep track of all of that in one place.
That sounds so nice.
Finally, the biggest time stealer is emails to parents and students following up or reaching out about grades, attendance, whatever. Luckily, you can type one email, save it as a template, and have it at your fingertips the next time you need to send something to a parent. You're a student. They made my weekly, "Hi, you're failing my class" emails go so much quicker last quarter. Make sure that you can quickly see what information you need to personalize, like names, grades, etc. Then off you go. Pro tip though, make sure that when you save your template, you remove your signature before you save it. Otherwise, it's going to appear twice. And so then you've sent an email with your signature on there twice, and then it's embarrassing and awkward. Anyway, okay, now that we've gone through how to use technology resources to help us with planning and communication, let's see how much time we've earned back on the Clock-O-Matic 3000. Hey, Ashlynn.
Hey! I'm sorry. I was just looking at my to-do list. Everything just piles up, and we're talking about all these great tools, and it still seems like there's just a lot of work that's kind of front-loaded on us. And I wish there was a way to let the robots make my to-do lists.
What's that?
Commencing robot takeover in 3.
Oh God!
What's it counting down to? What?
Okay, as a special treat for this PD, so far we haven't shared anything really new, so that's what we are bringing in at this point. Trello is a Kanban style productivity board. Now, what that means is that it's giving you a visual level of organization for your tasks that helps you organize your information, see what's getting done. It's just taking it from, maybe some of us do this in a visual format, but we're taking this and putting this in a virtual format. So it's essentially a series of lists. You can add tasks via cards to let you know, like, hey, this is something that needs to get done. Don't forget that this is happening. So you can drag your cards from one list to another to tell yourself, hey, this got accomplished, or this has moved on to this stage. The cards themselves are very versatile, where you can open up your cards, you can have team members added to them, you can add all sorts of additional features. And this actually lets you see where everybody else is and what they're working on. So if you are on a teacher team with other teachers, you could use this to make sure that everyone's kind of moving at the pace that you need them to. Now, Trello is free. However, it's kind of that freemium model where power-ups are what you can use to kind of increase the productivity. I have one specific power-up that I'm really looking forward to telling you about. Now, as we said, Trello is in this kind of freemium format where you have additional things, that each features that you can purchase. With the base package of Trello that doesn't cost anything, you get one power up. And the power up that I would recommend is something called Zapier. Zapier is an absolute magical thing, because with Zapier, what you can do is you can essentially create instructions. Now, this power up of Zapier, again, highly recommend. So with Zapier, what you can do is you can give instructions. So you're creating chains of commands where essentially you tell Zapier, hey, if I get an email and I move it into this folder, then I want you to generate a card on Trello that tells me what to do or tells me about a task that needs to get done. So as you're getting emails, you can sort them into different folders that might generate different cards. And then you can organize your cards on Trello, but those cards are automatically being created by that Zapier power-up. Now, Zapier can connect to over 2,000 different apps. So once you create your Zapier account, you can have it connect with Trello and numerous other things. It works with the entire Google Suite and the entire Google Suite for Education. So let's say you have a student that turns in an assessment late via Google Forms. Well, if you get a new addition to Google Forms or this specific form, you can have Zapier create an alert that then creates a card on your to-do list that says, hey, this student turned in the assignment that they have. You need to make sure that it gets graded. So in this case, you are allowing Trello and Zapier to work together to create a really beautiful workflow for yourself where the robots are making your to-do list. This is still a good bit of front-loading work, but the system being in place, what a time saver. This was one of the most exciting things that I had ever seen when I found it. There's also a myriad of templates on Trello themselves, and quite a few of them are tailored specifically for teachers. So a lot of people are already using this, and I think you should too. A more detailed tutorial is available in our virtual classroom that we have set up that you can access after viewing this workshop. I really hope you take advantage of this. It's such a powerful and versatile tool that is really going to save you time, and we know that time is really precious. So I hope you check it out.
I know we've thrown a lot at you, so let's recap where different technology resources will help us save time.
We talked about classroom time savers in your grading, and then productivity and scheduling time savers. So then we have all of these other pieces and parts. Where do they all go? Adding a resource section or creating a virtual classroom. That was one of our classroom time savers. Student response view in Google Classroom was also one of our classroom time savers. Email templates was one of our productivity or scheduling time savers. Chalk.com was another productivity or scheduling time saver. Google Classroom and calendar integration on the student side, that falls under our classroom time saver category. Self-grading Google Forms was a grading time saver. Adding templates in Google Classroom was a classroom time saver. Trello was making the robots make your to-do list. That's a productivity or scheduling time saver. Zapier also is a productivity or scheduling time saver. Up here, assigning items to different student groups would fall under our classroom time savers. Remember, you can differentiate who gets what assignment by assigning different items to different groups of students. Go Formative was a grading time saver. So was Edpuzzle. Inviting guardians, that's going to fall under our classroom time savers. Self-grading Google Forms, I already said that, but we'll pull that back up. Doing real-time grading activities, games on Google Slides or Jamboard activities would fall under grading time savers. Appointment slots, we did have that under classroom time savers. I'm going to put it under productivity and scheduling here, and Google Keep will continue there. So here is our breakdown of the different resources that you can use in your classroom and in your lesson planning to help take back your time, not work weekends, make the robots do some of your work, and overall be a happier teacher.
But while all of these tips are great, the most important thing and the hardest thing to help you reclaim your time is for you to set boundaries. We've talked a lot about how all of these different tools we have can come together to help us be more productive and efficient at our jobs. And on a national scale, productivity and manufacturing output has skyrocketed while compensation has stagnated. So efficiency is only part of the equation. Technically speaking, we're all much more efficient than we used to be, right? You send an email, you get it right away rather than waiting 3 or 4 days for it to get through the mail. The other essential piece is setting boundaries for yourself so that you can reclaim your time.
And a lot of us struggle with boundary setting, especially this year, when we've all needed to completely reinvent our classrooms and our lessons with ever-shifting guidance and objectives. But the fact is that no one is going to reclaim your time for you. We all have to do it for ourselves. As we said in the before times, the grading will still be there tomorrow. But hey, does that one activity really need to be taken for a grade? Maybe not. A crucial question to be asking yourself while lesson planning and creating materials is, what is the essential element? What do I really need to do in this lesson? A lot of times we get caught up in the fluff, making something look cute or aesthetically pleasing, when really, that's just taking time that we could be spending doing something else. Know what your strengths are and use them. Me, I'm not a graphic designer. All of my activities look pretty boring, but hey, they work. Did my students need a bell ringer and an exit ticket for every lesson I've done this year? No. What mattered was the content practice, which I made, and so I could enjoy my weekend feeling reasonably ready for Monday.
In the end, it's about saying no, and it's okay to say no. Self-care reminding us to go take a bath or take some time for ourselves doesn't help when there's no action to lessen the load behind it. And no one is going to take that action for you. Tell yourself, I'm not working on Sunday, and then don't, right? Promise yourself you'll go home by 4:30 every night.
5.
4,
4:45.
4:15.
We'll compromise.
When we set boundaries and say no, we have time to recharge. And then we are better educators because when we feel complete, we can give more of ourselves to others, right? You cannot drink from an empty cup, and an educator cannot educate from a depleted mind.
Hey, though, speaking of empty cups, it's 5 o'clock. You want to go get a Shirley Temple?
Ooh, yeah, sure, we'll get some Shirley Temples. Don't call me Shirley. I think it's time to practice what we just preached and set some boundaries. Thank you so much for joining us. You are an amazing resource for the world and for those around you. Just like the earth, be sure to conserve that resource so that you are around for years to come. You are all doing incredible and valuable work.
Science teachers. Thank you all for joining us, and we do hope that you found some tips that you can use to help the robots work for you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.